Hello and welcome to episode 15 of the Slow Crafting Podcast. My name's Nadine and I'm coming to you today from the northwest of England near Manchester, and this is a bi-weekly podcast about knitting, spinning, sewing, crochet, the whole shebang, and trying to incorporate a slow living and slow fashion agenda into that. I'm slightly discombobulated today because I normally record on a Monday morning when I've got the house to myself, but rather foolishly I locked myself out of the house on Monday after I dropped my oldest off at school, came back home and went, oh, got no keys. So yes, I'm recording this on a Thursday morning when I've got a small child running around over in the corner, so if I keep looking off screen that'll be why. Yes, I have to say I was pleased to note that my last episode. Yeah, you saw one of those birds, did you? Okay, you go back and look. Sorry, my 2-year-old has become a keen bird watcher, so she sits in the conservatory with a little bird identification book and looks at what birds are coming and landing on the bird feeder. Surprisingly, she's quite good at spotting them and finding them in the book, which is an interesting skill for a 2-year-old to have. But anyway, yeah, so she's knocking about, and if I keep looking off screen, that's the why, or she keeps coming up. So for those of you that it bothers, I'm sorry, but this is what it took to get a recording out this week. As I was saying, yes, I was pleased to see that after my last episode had saw like a spike in my subscribers and I don't say a massive increase in viewers, but in the grand scheme of things for podcasts that get high figures generally, it probably wasn't a massive increase, but for me, whose figures are quite low, and I don't mind that, it was a massive increase. So thank you to all the new viewers. I'd be interested to hear if you'd seen about it somewhere else or heard about it somewhere else, which would account for the increase in viewers. Because then if somebody has mentioned me, I can't think who it might be, but if they have, then I can say a thank you to them, and hopefully the new viewers enjoyed what they saw. Right, places that you can find me. I am Crafty Nadine on Ravelry, and you can find me through the blog at themanyknitsofnadine.wordpress.com as well, but I'll put all that information in the drop box down below, and I'll probably have it up on a screen at the end as well. Take that out now, please. And right, starting off, I've got one finished object this week, which you haven't actually seen because I didn't show you it last time and it started it. I mentioned in the last episode that I was running a test knit over on Ravelry for an upcoming design that I'm due to release next month. But one of the things that the test knitters were saying was about the sizing on it, because it is quite small on the sizing, and I decided I'd work up a sample in a different yarn to look at ways of increasing or giving a larger sizing option for it. So this, I'm not sure, I'm not being precious about it, but this is inside out, so you can't really see much anyway. But this is the hat that I've knitted in a larger size as a sample, and to give it a different sizing option on the pattern. Don't do that, darling, because it'll probably make a silly noise. But it was using some yarn that I had in stash, because my original sample was knitted from hand spun, but this in a DK weight, but this is an Aran weight, and it's Lang Yarns yak, so it's 50% yak, 50% wool. It was a gift, so I don't know whether it's a cheap yarn or an expensive yarn, or I'm thinking, given that it's a commercial brand, it's probably reasonably priced. But I have to say, I'm not a fan. It's, I don't know, you can probably see a few places on here where the yarn is split, and you've got weirwood plies on it. Okay, just go over there, please. I do like a nice tight twist on a yarn, I won't lie, and this really isn't. I think it's probably about 5 or 6 singles that are barely twisted together. There's some patches where they just seem to run parallel, and it felt a bit like knitting with cotton. Not as achy on my wrists, but with less give and less flexibility than a pure wool would. And I know yak's meant to be really soft, and it's quite soft. It's not like being kissed by kittens or anything. But yes, it's an interesting wool, and it's made an interesting hat. Just looking at the definition of the stitches as well, that's what else makes me think it's a bit like knitting with cotton, because the definition of stitches that you get from a cotton yarn compared, please darling, go up there, be really quiet for mummy. Yeah, the definition you get with the cotton yarn is different to the definition on the stitch you get with a wool yarn. So I think those two things combined, sort of that and the feel of it having less flexibility, did not make for an enjoyable knit particularly. But the hat's finished, and my testers have mostly finished actually. They've done the cowl and the hat. There's quite a few typos and missed instructions that I have to, not necessarily missed instructions, but unclear instructions that I need to clarify. But yeah, so hopefully I'll be all set for release on that first week in October, and I'll keep you posted. I might even next episode, depending on when that falls, I will probably announce some kind of discount or giveaway code for the pattern for anybody who watches the podcast. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Right, on to works in progress. I showed you last time the hat for my little girl. Now I've woven in all the ends and chopped off the dangly bits and put on the frill around the front. And as you can see, I've not yet put on, sorry, the light's a bit bright in here today, I've not yet put on the chin straps. So it's a bonnet, crochet bonnet, that fits like this, although much nicer on. Oh yeah, you can go, right, you take it away then. It was just using a scrap yarn, as I say, and I talked about it last episode. But she loves it, and I just needed to double check where I needed to put the chin straps. But I think I've got that sorted now, so I can get that done relatively soon, and you'll probably see it, a model shot of it next episode. It's not quite hat weather yet. We've had the odd day where it might have been, but well, for me, but not for her yet. So she's not quite needing it just yet. I've been quite happy. I have been quite happy about the turn in the weather recently. It's getting a bit chillier, so I can get my knitwear back out. Not that summer really stops me wearing knitwear, just end up a bit sweaty. Whereas now I can be comfortable in my knitwear, and all the hand knit socks are back out and back on. So yeah, probably going to be a lot of hand washing in the near future as well. Right, other works in progress. It's crochet related actually, the whole shebang today. I mentioned last episode I wanted to make a concerted effort to get a shift on with some of my Christmas knitting. Well, knitting and crafting and crochet for gifts, and I've got 2 blankets on the go. I might be a tad optimistic about finishing them by Christmas. I've got to give it a go. The first one I showed you in one of my very early episodes, well, no, I didn't start it till I'd moved into this house, so it was probably after episode 3, but before episode 8. Somewhere in that gap. And it's this crochet blanket from Sock Yarn Scraps that I'm working on. So I don't know how much you can be able to see. I can't even see the screen now, so you could be seeing anything. Oh, yeah, look at all those ends I've got to weave in. Lots and lots. So yeah, it's a pattern that I've made up as I've gone along. I'll put a basic recipe over on the blog, just so that if anybody else wants to do it, they can do. You'll notice that, I mean, there's quite a few sock yarn scrap crochet blankets doing the rounds at the moment, but a lot of them are, they create quite a holy fabric, which is not what I wanted. So this one creates a more solid, I don't know if you see, it still looks a bit lacy, but there's not like a granny stripe blanket where it's got big holes that you can poke your fingers through. I'll get doll's legs stuck through things, because if there is a hole in a blanket, the girls will generally find it and poke things through it. So yes, I'm using up what I thought was a mountain of sock yarn scraps, but it's not going that far. I think to actually finish the blankets, I am going to end up having to buy some extras, which is not necessarily what I wanted, but to have a blanket big enough to fit on a single bed, then I'll need to. But yes, I keep doing a few rows here and there, and it's growing quite considerably, but still I'm probably less than halfway there, and I've got what, 2 months, 3 months to do it. Might be doable if I wasn't planning on knitting a whole range of other things, but I do this every year. I decide I'm going to put my love into all my presents and craft lots, and then wait till about September time before I start anything, and then wish I hadn't. And then this, so that's for one of my daughters. She's not really listening to me, so she's not, and she's seen me working on it anyway, so it's not going to be a surprise. And then this one's for my other daughter, also with scrap yarn. Now this one is a holy one. You see there with the joints, because they're just joined at the corners. This is a scrap version of the Weekender blanket by Cherry Heart Designs on Ravelry. So it's using the same bunch of scraps as my other blanket, but looks completely different in terms of, well, the colour placement's different because they've just come whatever's next. But because they're knitted in crocheted in hexagons rather than in stripes, it looks different, very different visually, even though you're using the same yarns. Again, lots and lots and lots of ends to weave in, so that'll probably take me a whole month in itself. But yes, I started this, it was probably about 18 months ago actually, because it was when Danny from Little Bobbins podcast started her scrappy Weekender blanket, that I thought, oh yes, that'd be good to have one of those. I can use up my sock scraps and make a blanket for my daughter at the same time. But then I did a bit on it and it got shelved and put to one side, and I thought, right, if I'm finishing this blanket off for my youngest daughter, I really should finish that one off as well, because there's no point in having projects sat around unfinished. Well, one, because it's wasteful on yarn, and two, if it's, you know, something that's going to be practical and useful, you're better off finishing it. Sorry, that's not everybody. I am better off finishing it and just either finish it or frog it. I do I say this? And then I drag something out that's been on, like especially some of my recent sewing projects that have been, yes, I started making this 10 years ago. I am getting better at this. I'm getting better at this, at finishing off projects and not starting things that I don't plan on finishing. Well, no, I think you plan on finishing everything you start, but not starting a project that I haven't got a specific plan and use for, and right, I need to finish this by then because I'd like to wear it, or I'll give it away in this case. So yes, the girls love these blankets. My other half was a bit disappointed that I've not kept them as a surprise, but if I have to find enough time to work on them, then basically they've got to see me working on them, because well, one of them spends her entire day with me, and at the moment most of the night, and she decides to come into our bed to sleep. It's more comfortable than her own, apparently. So they do see me working on it. The other one doesn't see it as often now because she's in school full time, but on an evening and on a weekend she will see me working on it, because if I leave it till the hour and a half I have between them going to bed and me falling asleep, then I'll never get it finished in time. Right, so they're my current works in progress, and I decided to have a new cast on, which isn't a Christmas present, but I needed something that wasn't a secret knitting, because some bits I can do on a night time when they're not watching or not listening, but other bits I wouldn't be able to. I don't know where I was going with that. Some bits I can work on a night, so I can do those at night time, but I wanted something for during the day when I didn't feel like crocheting, or on a night, on a weekend where I'll sit and watch a film with my other half, because I can't crochet and watch film, particularly if I have to pay attention or read subtitles or anything, because I'm just counting more than I do with knitting. Knitting I can just zone out and, you know, read any subtitles, watch anything, just knit. Obviously if it's a complicated lace pattern or texture pattern, then it takes a bit more effort, and but I wanted something that I could just work on during those times where oh, hang on. You want to, right, you go do it and then tell mummy later, okay? So yes, and obviously when on a weekend, if I decided I was going to knit anything for my other half for Christmas, I couldn't be working on it then. So I needed something for when we were watching telly on a weekend, or during the day when I didn't feel like doing any more crochet. So I decided that I was going to use some of my hand spun, and oh yes, thank you. I'll show them it now.
I love that.
Thank you. Oh, you love it, do you? Right, no, you stay over there. Yeah, so just pick this one up off the floor for me because I've dropped it. So during the summer, Stephen West had a 2-for-1 sale on all his patterns, which was just very exciting. And it happened to coincide with my birthday. Sorry about that. Try again, shall we? I'm really sorry if that deafened anybody, but there's a very noisy toy just behind where I've got the camera set up, so she decided to press the button on it, and the phone rang, and professional professional to the core, I don't think. Yes, anyway, I was saying Stephen West had a 2-for-1 sale on all his patterns over the summer, and it happened to coincide roughly with when my birthday was, so I decided to treat myself, because I knew I had a stockpile of hand spun yarns that I didn't really know what to do with, and they weren't necessarily coordinated in terms of colour schemes or anything, and they were a bit on the jazzy side because a lot of them were very barber poled, and you know, some of my early spins, because that I just spun to see what I liked, how it worked, and lots of jazzy colours and what I could get my hands on quite cheaply locally. So I ended up with a lot of very variegated barber poled, quite colourful yarns. So I thought, who better to go to for a pattern for something that was really jazzy than Stephen West, basically, because his patterns are lovely. They're not always practical, certainly not in my day-to-day life, but every now and again there comes one that you think, actually, yes, I can wear that without it being wearing it as a statement. I can wear it comfortably, and it can become part of my mummy uniform. Now, I really enjoy the hand spun jumper that I've got on at the moment, so I decided that I would use some more hand spun to make another jumper and knit it up into his enchanted mesa pattern. I'm not going to do the cowl neck that it's got on it because I'm not sure how I feel entirely about cowl necks. I know this is a polo neck rather than a full cowl neck, and cowl necks are a bit baggy, but I do feel constantly like my chin's sitting on top of this. So I think taking the cowl neck off it also opens up a wider range of possibilities for putting different scarves or cowls, separate cowls with it. Yes, and I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do the full wonky sleeve. One of the sleeves is the armpit on is considerably lower than on the other side because of the short row shaping. So I might look up, because I know a few people have modified it so that it sits near your actual armpit but still has the short row shaping on it. So I might do that, because I know as soon as I put it on, if it had a full dropped drop sleeve on one side, not an actual drop sleeve, but you know what I mean if you've seen the pattern, as soon as I put it on, my other half would be asking what I've done wrong with my knitting rather than seeing it as a actual design feature. So anyway, these are the yarns that I've decided to use. They're all working out at roughly a fingering weight. Now, I know in the pattern it gives various different gauges that you can do it at, so basically you can use any yarn and any size needles, and he encourages you to use different thicknesses of yarn and things. So I'm quite happy about that, and I picked some that they're not coordinated as such, but there is a unifying theme throughout them all. Now I'll show you some of them. This one is they're not all skinned up because I washed them, because I hadn't washed them after I'd spun them, even though some of them I spun certainly over a year ago, if not longer. And yeah, so I've just recently washed them and they're not quite dry yet. So this is probably coming out a lot bluer on screen than it has. That's a better colour actually. The purple colours are merino, just some from my local yarn shop. They have tubs of various different coloured merino rovings, no, comb top actually, for generally they have it for felting. They don't market it as for spinning because they run felting classes and things, or at least they used to, so that's what they mainly have it for. And the white that it's plied with, ooh, there we go, is some white BFL, and that's also from my local yarn shop. And this is it's probably got a special. It's going to be special in my jumper because the other year, one of my best friends and I had stopped buying presents for each other generally, but she'd had a particularly tough year last year, and she'd just taken up knitting, and it was helping her a lot. So I said, as a present, I would spin her up some wool. So she picked the colours, and I spun I spun it up, and I had one skein for her and one skein for me, so we had some matching yarn, you know, to make up for all those years I had to turn up in matching outfits. Yes, you can take that now. Thank you. You can take it over there. And then this is some of my really early hand spun. This was from a bag of turn that round that way, it's a lot purpler that way. A bag of just basically odds and ends of fibres. So there's some green in there, and purple and bright pink and white and pale pink and blue. Okay. I wasn't quite sure if I'd had enough, if I would have enough of this yarn to finish off the entire jumper. But now that I've seen that this has got green in, because I hadn't particularly noticed it before, because this is normally the colour pops out at you, the pinks and purples and blues. I could use up some leftovers that I've got from this if I haven't got enough yarn, so that'd be alright. But yeah, but as you'll notice, the colour that unites most of these yarns is purple. Not a colour that generally features in my wardrobe. I know I've just shown you a purple hat at the very beginning, but that was because what I had in stash. It's not for me to wear because it's too big, but it's just a sample. But this has got some purple in as well. It's mostly different blues and greys. There you go, you can take that one away. That's a bag of odds and ends of merino as well from a local yarn shop. The unifying colour across them all is purple, and it's not a colour that features in my wardrobe particularly. But the people in my life that actually wear purple, they're not knit. It's not that they're not knit worthy, because they are very knit worthy, but they wouldn't necessarily know what to do and how to care for a hand spun garment, and they'd be afraid to wear it and ruin it. So for now I think I'll avoid spinning purple, but because I've got some in stash already, I thought I would put it to some practical use. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I thought I'd wear it. It won't necessarily tie in with most of the other stuff that I'm wearing, but because it's got the blue in as well, it should work out better. The blue in the last skein should tie it into some of my other items in my mummy uniform and a handmade wardrobe, because blue is a colour that does feature heavily, and because it's got a bit of green in, I could possibly get away with matching it with some of my green things as well. Depends on the green. Right, and the other solid colour that I've got to go with it is one of my sheep breed study yarns. This is a lot creamer in real life. I'm holding it up near the wall. See this yellow wall? No, this side. One wall. Oh, I really can't get the hang of this. This wall here is yellow, and it looks very similar. I'm holding it up next to this one. So it's a very creamy yellow colour, and this is the Cheviot yarn that I showed you in episode 11 or 12. I can't remember which. Are you smelling it? It still smells sheepy even after a wash. So yes, there's on the pattern the cowl's done in a solid colour, the cowl neck's done in a solid colour, and then in between the short rows it's got breaks of solid colour as well. So I was planning on using that for the breaks in between and a few other bits in it. I don't want too much of the white on around my tummy area, basically, because I want the darker colours, thank you, nearer my tummy if possible, just as a bit of a visual aid for slimming my figure down. Oh, no, just a very tangled yarn. Probably shouldn't have given it to a 2-year-old. Thank you. I'll take it. So yes, that's what I plan on casting on. I'm very sorry if this is your first time watching. This is not what the podcast is normally like, and if you've made it this far, well done. Hopefully next time I'll not lock myself out of the house on a Monday morning, and I'll be able to record in peace and quiet without a co-host and without background noise or me being a bit distracted. So yes, the next time I hope to announce the pattern release for the hat and cowl set that's currently in testing, and show you the cast on of this enchanted mesa and a bit more progress on the 2 blankets. There you go. Where's the necklace? And then possibly if I've got any more Christmas cast-ons, I'll show those to you as well. Right, I better get off and sort this child out because we're due at the library in 10 minutes. You can't see this. Come here. Come here. I think I may have raised a little yarn monster. Right, go on. You got to take all those off carefully, please. Yes. Teach them early to love natural fibres and hand-spun yarns. Oh, I'm just not looking anymore. All I can think is there's going to be so many knots and tangles in this yarn. Yes, we've seen you've got an extra one on now. It looks beautiful. Now you go put it in a pile for Mummy. Go on. And try not to get any bogies on it, please. Yes, I'd say we're due at the library in 10 minutes. So thank you for watching. Join in next time. And like I said at the beginning, if anyone can account for why I've had an increase in viewers, please do let me know. It's always nice to hear from people. You can get hold of me on Ravelry through as Crafting Nadine, or through the blog themanyKnitsofNadine.wordpress.com. No, we're not. Can you just go up there for me? Thank you. Or send me a direct message on here. Leave a comment. Alright then, thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.